Hey guys, today we're going to go over the first appointment. On last week we went over business research, the development call. We went over how to get to the first appointment. So I'll just briefly run down how that call sounds, and then we'll go into the reasons why you're telling them you're going to meet, what the interest generators, and then we're going to go, as you see right here, how to go over the first meeting. You're not just going to sit there and talk about the weather. So what does that look like? Okay, what is the conversation going into the meeting look like? What is spin selling? How do you use that on your first meeting? So we're just going to go over that today. But some of the reasons, which I put right here, set the meeting using some of these reasons. You're never going to be able to plan how the call goes, right? You're going to call them out of the blue during the day. It's going to be pretty short. Might get lengthy, right? But you don't want it to get lengthy. You want to hook an interest to them that gets them to want to meet you, right? Because they probably won't want to meet you, right? They won't want to be on the phone. So you got to be short and sweet. As we went over the first call, property, go over their property, go over the market knowledge, right? And then thirdly, develop that relationship. But again, you're going to want to go over, reasons why. Some of them might be their management, right? And right here, first example is, I understand your management issues and talk with a lot of owners like you with similar problems. I have some time available Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning. Let's get together, preferably at the property, to discuss some ideas on how to help you minimize some of these issues, right? So if you hear something over that call on management, there you go. That's a way to get it. Oh, hey, I hear you're struggling with some management. I work with a lot of owners in town that have had similar issues, and this is what they have found, right? So it kind of goes almost to the, I don't want to bust out old sales tactics, right? But you always hear the feel, felt, and found, right? You'll hear that through certain sales, because you want to tell them you understand how they feel, right? You can feel how they feel. You know how other people or yourself has felt the same way, right? But what you have found, or other owners, you don't want to make it about you, because then you're trying to tell them. Most of these owners have owned forever. They might be your senior. So the last thing they want to hear is a young buck telling them that they got it all figured out and know it, right? So you want to let them know, hey, look, I understand how you feel. I work with plenty of owners that have owned for a long time and have felt that same way. But what those owners have found is that by implementing X, Y, or Z, this has solved it. And they might say, wow, yeah, you do, that's great. So here's some of the reasons. A balloon, right? A payment might be coming due. Blackstone just had an article, Blackstone is the largest commercial owner, REIT. They own billions and billions of dollars. It might even be approaching $1 trillion in real estate holdings. They are raising money like crazy, and right now they have a technical default, which is you cannot refinance the property because it's due, or because it's not performing, right? And sometimes it might even be performing, meaning it's still bringing cash flow, but the evaluation and interest rates and the valuation aren't aligned, so you cannot refinance. The bank won't give you money. So whenever that happens, it might be on a 5-year, and it doesn't matter if you have $100 million in the bank. You would have to either pay off the note in full, or you have to give it back. So we're not going to go down that rabbit hole for this training, but that's one thing that might be happening, is the balloon payment coming due. And you might say, oh, hey, here's some clever ideas on how to bring up the cash flow or eliminate your expenses to be able to bring that valuation up so you can pay off that note. So rental rates. Hey, rental rates are changing very rapidly in this market. Here are some other strategies owners have found. Let's meet to talk about it. Oh, capital expenditures. Oh, I see you have quite a bit of capital expenses you want to address, and I've helped many owners like you make better decisions, save money, maximize value. Why don't we get together at the property for 15 minutes to discuss more options? And there you go. You try to get that meeting. equity returns, and no problem. So here's something that you probably hear. Oh, everything's great. This thing's cash cow. I love it. I'm never selling. Great. Hey, I know everything's great. Life is good, but we've been here before, and we know how quickly things can change. I meet with a lot of owners, and some are thinking outside the box when it comes to ensuring their income stream is consistent, even if the market should turn. Let's get together so we can stay ahead of the market changes going forward and talk about some ideas that you may not have thought about. So everything's good, fine, dandy. They're not going to be able to predict the future. So if you're telling them you want to talk about forward-looking things, what's happening, there's another reason to meet, even if they say they're having no issues. So again, and guys, just to kind of recap quickly that call, how that cold call is going to go to even get you in a position to talk about this stuff, you simply just say, and you guys should have this written out. You should have a script just to have, it might sound robotic, but once you say it over and over and over and you start tweaking it into your own, it's going to sound something similar like, hello, John. Is John available? He'll say something along that, speaking. Or this is him, what do you want? And then you got to be quick and get to a point. So you say, hey, John, this is Jason over at JP Capital Solutions, commercial real estate broker. I'm calling because, again, you want to say, I'm calling you because, and then they will listen. Calling because I know you own the apartment building at 123 Main, and we haven't met yet. I work with a lot of owners in the area with similar properties, and I have a lot of their ideas I'd like to share. Here's the permission. If it is okay with you, I would like to get a better understanding on your situation and see how I can be a resource for you as it relates to investment real estate. And then you go into your interest generator. So then you say, because you'll confuse them if you stop right there. They'll be like, a resource, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want a resource. They'll hang up, right? So then you say, how I can be a resource. For instance, I see you on this building on 123 Main. Were you aware of the buildings they're building down the street? No, what are you talking about? Oh, well, hey, I'd love to get together with you and let you know kind of what's happening in the market that could affect you, the good or the bad. Okay, Jason, what do you want? Right? Hey, well, I'll be there next Tuesday at 2. Let's meet for coffee across the street. Okay, great. Boom, you got your meeting. All right, so that's just a quick little cold call entry, right? So then you found the reason, and then now we're here at the meeting. So when you meet for the first time, you don't want to just, again, meet, talk about the weather, you know, and your kids and theirs. Yes, you want to build rapport, and that does involve that, but you want to let them know that you're there to help them, even if they think they can't be helped today. Does that make sense? Like, they might, I've had some people literally tell me, like, why are we meeting here? What are we doing? Why did you want to meet? Because we know you're not selling, right? So they're going to be probably confused if you're not clear on the call, but that's okay. You're at least there. That's the most important thing. You tell them like you're genuine. They can see you're there not just to sell them something, right? So when you get there, you should have outlined kind of a little itinerary of how you're going to take this, right? And you want to control the meeting, guys. You don't want to get there and just have them run right through it and run the meeting, because then you lose it. So that's why you have to, I mean, even to position them in a seat, open their chair. Obviously, if it's a lady, you're going to put their chair out, but, take control the whole time. And that is from setting their chair. Here you go. And that just sets you as the authority. But you're going to say, thanks for taking the time to meet with me today. I know we talked a lot over the phone, and I know the basics about you and your property, but there's still a lot that I do not know. And again, similar like the phone call, you're going to want to have permission, and you let them know. I learned a lot by working with other owners just like you, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of their ideas. And with your permission, I'd like to get a great understanding on your current situation and put some of those ideas on the table that you might not have thought about. Right, so this is putting you as an advisor, so they know you're slowly getting out of their head that you're just some salesman trying to sell them something. You're putting yourself in an advisory role that they realize. And you can use, I don't have the example in here too, but I will put this in there, like a CPA, right? You're putting yourself into, hey, kind of like you meet with your CPA to do accounting every quarter or so. Well, I would like to be that advisor for your commercial real estate. I know you might not be buying today, tomorrow, or even this year, but if we meet quarterly to kind of go over your property evaluations, market trends, then I'm here as a resource for when that does come. And they'll start to appreciate that. They'll start to look forward to seeing, oh, hey, I'm meeting this quarter. Yeah, I want to see, this is crazy. The market's going nuts. What's happening? So you will get people that will appreciate that. So that's the permission asking them. And again, the resource, your interest in being there, because that's what they're going to wonder. Okay, yeah, he says he's got some market knowledge, whatever, but what's your interest? Your interest, my interest in being a resource for you and to help you achieve your goals. Right? So if you are truly there for that, they will feel that and they will appreciate that and they will want you there to help them. But also don't act desperate, and that's where the detachment comes away, and it doesn't put the pressure on like, oh, I want to do the evaluation today. Yes, you are there at the first appointment to sell them the proposal for the second meeting, but you don't want to come off like you are desperate for the business. So that's when you can say, and hey, whether we do business today or in 5 years from now, that's okay with me, right? So, hey, I'm here to start this advisory relationship. I mean, on average, about 3 years it takes before we even do any sort of transaction with most of our clients. So then that just kind of puts them away like, okay, you know, I appreciate that. And your offer to them while you are there is you're offering that resource. And you say, what I'm offering is to get a better understanding of where you are now, where you are wanting to go, but most importantly, how to help you get there. Okay. And that's where you can tell them we will also be able to start an advisory relationship to keep you ahead of the market as well as help you with any other needs. I kind of jumped right there with the advisory quarterly CPA example, but that's when you can offer them that little CPA and quarterly kind of relationship you can build. So that's kind of the opening, guys. And then it's, you know, the first question I think is the best, in my opinion, that gets them, you know, really breaks ice is, and it builds the relationship. Like, I know I kind of said, oh, you don't want to talk about the fish. No, you do want to talk a little bit, you know, what other kids do they have? You do want to build that, right? You just don't want to spend the whole meeting talking about how they were a superstar athlete. You know, they'll love talking about themselves, but that's what you want. You want them to talk, but more focus on the property, right? And so we're going to get into the spin selling on what is spin selling, what that's questions that you ask to get the answers that you're looking for to be able to provide the service you're trying to give, right? So the first question, though, before you get this, well, it is right here. It's the best question. I've had owners take this question and tie up the whole meeting just talking about how they got into it. But so how did you get into real estate? That is perfect. I mean, if you say, when did you get into real estate? You'd be like, oh, when I was 20, and then it could end there. But when you say, how did you get into it, that is going to take the question, and it's going to be a story you couldn't have even guessed, right? But it's going to get them talking, and it's going to get them thinking, and it's going to get them building that trust in you by telling you how they got into that. And it might be a sore subject for some, who knows? But it's a great first question that you can just, after you go in with your intro, right, and what you're trying to offer. So, you know, with all that being said, John or Sally, you know, how did you guys get into real estate? And then, boom, that's, so we're going to go, again, spin selling, if you're not familiar with it, it stands for situation, SP, implication, situation, problem, this should be problem right here, implication, and the need payoff. So yeah, that was a typo, it needs to be changed out. So SPIN, spin. This is what you should have in your mind to walk through, and we'll go through each one. So the situation, how did they get into it? Why did they choose that project? You know, property manager. How, you know, do you manage the property yourself? Do you have budget? How did you choose this property type? What are your priorities? You know, these are all their situation, okay? And this will lead you to what this is the problem, supposed to be the problem of that situation. So once you figure out, oh, well, their situation, they might say, you know, you might say, well, what are your personal goals? that you can somehow relate to the property. Or if they do say, I bought this, I chose to buy this because I just wanted it as my retirement to pay my bills, and it's not quite working out that way. They might say that off the rip. I've heard it. So then that's the problem. So the situation is, oh, hey, they bought this property because they wanted to retire. It's not working out so much. So that's the problem, right? That should be the P. Their problem is it's not working out so much, the cash flow for some reason. So what is that? And then here's the implication. So what have you liked and disliked since owning the property? How satisfied are you with your current management? What is preventing you from achieving your goals as quickly as possible? So these are the problems, and implications is if those problems don't get addressed, like how are those affecting you? How are the problems affecting your situation? Okay, and the need payoff. The need payoff is, what does it look like if those are addressed? Right. So some of the examples are, if you could reduce time spent on this problem, what would that do to your lifestyle? What would you do with the additional cash from the rent or sale? If we did that, right, the implication, if we were able to help whatever issue they were having, how would it affect your time with your family? So how would retirement positively affect your life? How would the proceeds from a sale improve your life? So how would it transferring into a triple net property affect your life? So their property might be like, oh my gosh, this is so management intensive, these apartments. I just don't want to manage it anymore. Well, if you have a triple net, meaning it's a single building like a CVS, and the taxes are paid, the management's paid, the building's taken care of, and all you have to do is you're just leasing the building. All right, what would happen if you got into something like that wasn't as management intensive? What would that look like for you? That's the need payoff. So you just are having them paint their own picture in their mind. They might have not even thought about that. They might say like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. And you know what? That would actually solve all my problems, because I don't want to sell the building and not get anything else, because then that's my retirement money, and I'll blow the $500,000 in a couple of years, or my kids will. So yeah, if I dump that into another building that I didn't even think about it, well, what does that look to? And then boom, now you're in a advisory position that you can show them, oh well, hey, your building, and this is, guys, the whole reason of this meeting, the first appointment, is to sell the proposal, so that you can present that on a second appointment in efforts and hopes of getting the listing, right? So after you walk through all of this, you find out what their situation is, what their problem is, the implications of those problems, and the need payoff. What does it look like if those are addressed, or we can help? Well, then you sell them on the second appointment, which is, hey, if you haven't thought about a single tenant triple net leased building opposed to your apartment, why don't we put an evaluation together to show you, first off, what your building's even worth? You might not want to sell it to that and be able to even put it into something that could do that for you. So the first step is to get the books and records, get the profit and loss statement, their trailing 12 months, and you want to sell them on this proposal so that you can help them achieve that other goal. So then that's where you're walking them down that little path of, again, painting their own picture. You just brought a situation that they told you about, but had a solution already on how to get them out of that, right? So now they're already kind of excited, thinking, oh, he does have a solution to something I never even thought of. Yeah, I guess he can do an evaluation of my property. And then from that, which we'll do the second appointment next week on presenting the proposal, right? We've already gone under underwriting, how to do that. So now this is about funneling them down to the second appointment, right? Which is selling the proposal, which we will go over next week on this module, number 2. And this is selling the proposal and into getting the exclusive listing, right? And we'll uncover all these. But this is, this was the A to Z on the first. The cold call. You got to have a solid call, right? And reasons to meet management, balloon, capital expenditures. Oh, hey, John, I saw that the front of your building was falling apart. What's going on? It looks like some capital expenditures, right, are coming due, or the parking lots was just fenced. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been putting it off. Well, hey, did you know the city's actually giving grants for, facades and outside? No, what are you talking about? Well, John, this is actually what I was calling about, not just to try to sell your building. We do have some great resources and ideas and things we would love to share that other owners are doing. How's next Tuesday work? You see, and boom, there's another meeting off just how horrible his outside of his building looks. You don't need to call him and tell him that directly, but you can insinuate, hey, are you doing some work? Or so any of these guys is going to be a reason to meet. Again, even if it's no problem, just let them know that you're a researcher. There's a lot changing in the market, and you want to go over some forward-looking ideas, okay? And then you have your opening that you show them what you're there for, your interest in being there, okay, and what you're offering them. And then you're figuring it out, guys. It's questions. Don't just talk about you're the best this, you've sold all that. You want to ask the questions and then hush and listen to what they tell you. And those questions will get you the answers that you will need to push them to the next step, which, again, if you're following along in the broker continuum, after we've done the research and cold called them on the business development call, here we are, first appointment, we landed it, right? Now we're kicking them to the next little step there. Hey, I'd love to figure your situation out, help you figure this situation out for you. And how I can do that is by giving you this proposal, right? And that's given at the second appointment, right? You get there, then you hope to have them like what they see and get the exclusive listing that you can then market, field the offers, go into contract, due diligence, and remove those contingencies to close, and then help them on and keep going on and on and on. So I hope that was a beneficial first appointment training for you guys. Again, next week we'll go over the second and then into the exclusive and then your marketing plan. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope it was valuable, and we'll see you on the next training.